Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Hogs Media Podcast. We are back. I know it's been a while since we've been with you guys, but a lot has happened recently in Hogs sports. So last time we were with you guys, Coach Musk was still the basketball coach. We're finishing up a disappointing basketball season, and we were talking to you guys about what we should do. And I'm going to tell you guys right now, what we expected is not near what we have got in a good way. How would you describe all that's happened within the basketball program lately?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, anyone watching this is up to speed. Getting Cal was huge. Um, and Cal has gotten straight to work. Right? He hit the ground running, didn't waste any time, and it's been awesome to see. I think I was nervous at first. Obviously, Cal's a legendary coach. I was nervous if this is his move out of Kentucky was like a sunset to his career or a rejuvenation of his career, right? And obviously, there's still a lot to find out and still a lot to be determined. But my thought was like, okay, either he's just sick of like the pressure at Kentucky, and he just wants a place that's like easier and chill, where if he loses, it's okay. Which
Yeah,
obviously,
sadly, but yes.
it's sad. Like it's not like Arkansas fans like happy to lose, but we make the tournament. We're like, hey, good year. It was a good
Yeah.
season. Like if we would have just made the tournament, we'd have been like, it's must, baby. Versus Kentucky. So you know, but I think it's obviously still a lot needs to happen, and we need to see how the season goes, and we need to see how the roster continues to fill out. But he's still got it. Cal still got it, and bringing in three McDonald's All-Americans, uh, crazy. So we're already now in the top five, top four for best high school recruiting classes going into next season. And then transfer class, we're also currently, and we've only filled four portal spots. We're already in like the top 15 for best portal classes. Um, so it's
Yeah, it's been a wild ride. I don't, you know, everyone was disappointed when the coaching search happened. We heard Beard gone, Jerome Tang extension, and everybody was hearing Daryl Walker, who's a Razorback legend, and who was the other name? Can't remember. But anyways, those were the expected interviews, and then out of nowhere, Coach Cal rumors start popping up, and everyone's like, "What? There's no way." And everybody's just like, "Whatever." And then the John Tyson like dinner pictures pop up, and everyone's like, "Is there a chance this happened?" And then boom, it was quick, and it happened fast, and we got him. And like you said, he still has the magic. I mean, 5 stars galore is happening. And then yesterday we got John L. Davis, who's a
yeah.
huge get.
Oh, it's huge. Yeah, John L. He's on everyone's top five board for best players in the portal.
A
He
lot of
is
people have him as
a
one.
Some of them have him as one. Obviously, it depends. The Richmond from Seton Hall is up there.
Yeah,
Store AJ Store, who ended up going to Kansas. Anyway, depending on who you ask, but on every single board, he is right there. So a lot of people are actually already predicting that he is going to be throughout the season a front runner to be a first team All American.
no
That's
shit.
how good he was at Florida Atlantic.
Yeah,
And if he wasn't at Florida Atlantic, if he was at a Big Five school, a lot of people were saying he probably would have been an All American this year, at least second team. Um, so I mean, a lot of people probably don't know him because, again, he's at FAU. They don't get a lot of media attention. They have no reason to play against Arkansas. But this guy, he's good. He's a difference maker. Average 18 points a game, 6 rebounds, a few assists, a couple steals. He's a playmaker. Um, he likes the ball in his hands. But he's, I would say, more versatile and more well-rounded than a Khalif Battle
yes.
or a Tremont Mark. I think he has a little bit more passing chops from what I've seen. He actually likes to get other guys involved. So even though he likes to score, he actually does look to pass. He does look to try to get other players involved if he's doubled. He doesn't really force it a lot, and that shows in his efficiency. He's a super efficient shooter, um, and including from 3 point. I mean, he's
Yeah.
a really good 3 point shooter, over 40%. And yeah, he doesn't take a ton of shots to score 18 points a game, and he does it in big games.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. FAU, he doesn't get a ton of attention, but if anybody saw their Final Four run last year, he was the guy for them, like you said. He averaged 18 this year, so it's not like he was a 1 year wonder. He's expanded on that. I heard somewhere today he averaged 6 rebounds. And then, yes, like you said, he's a great passer. So he's multi-dimensional, great land. And then a couple days ago, we got Adu from Tennessee,
Hmm.
big 7 footer, huge.
Yeah,
And then,
it's instant impact. I think the thing that I love about Adu is that we also have Big Z.
yes,
So, because Adu is good, he's not the most dominant center in the league. You know what I
uh,
mean? Like he's not going to be Zach Edey. He's not going to be Klingen from
Oscar
UConn. He's not going to be
Sheboy, not
Shibwe or
that type.
Dickinson.
Yeah.
He's not there, but he's one, the next step down. And so what I like, so I would say he's still a step up from what we've had from like a Jalen Graham. He's
Oh, for sure.
defensively minded. He's a little bit more there in terms of his basketball IQ, things like that. So for Arkansas, he'll be an upgrade at the 5 spot. But by having Big Z there, it gives us great versatility. We could maybe play them both at the same time and just have trees.
Yeah.
If we're playing against a team that maybe has a power forward or a four position that's not super like speedy or athletic, then Big Z could maybe guard that person, and Adu can guard the five. And then on offense, that gives you a lot of really interesting things that you can do, and really just try to dominate down low. But even if they don't play at the same time very much, I like that he's different than Big Z. And so it gives us, again, two different types of options. And if we want to play more like traditional big man ball, he can kind of go in there, play with his back to the basket, be a rim protector. If we want to play more small ball, we still have a 7 footer that can stretch the floor and go get dunks.
Exactly. It's a win-win situation for
Yeah.
sure. Big Z, huge get. And I we didn't picture getting any of these transfers at all. Like, there's
Yeah.
no way we get them a Coach Muss, most likely. Just don't see it happening.
Yeah. Well, and I think Cal's reputation as a one and done
Yeah,
NBA what do they call it? Conveyor belt. Actually, I think this is the first one of the first years where we're seeing like, oh, that might actually be good news
yeah,
for upperclassmen that they only have 1 year left, or they only want to have one more year left if they're a junior or sophomore. Maybe they're sitting there going, okay, I know I'm good. I know I'm right on the cusp of the NBA, but I need a little bit more of that development. Oh, Cal knows how to take raw talent with a ton of potential and get them where they need to go for the NBA. And so I think suddenly it makes sense for Cal, and it makes sense for players of like, oh, you don't
yeah,
just have to be 18 years old for Cal to take your almost NBA talent and make you a first round pick. You can be 20 or 21. And so that's why I think John L. Davis and Adu, and I think we'll see a couple other great upperclassmen commit to Arkansas, because they're going, I have 1 year left. I have to make the best of it. Who's the coach that does the most with a player in one single year of having them? And it's Cal.
it's Cal easily. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
exactly right. Like, if you want to get the most out of a 1 year situation, there's no one better to go to. That's
Yeah.
Cal. So we've talked about the guys we've kind of already gotten. Tell us more about some of our targets we're going after still.
Yeah. So one of our targets right now is Edu Thiero. He was at Kentucky with Coach Cal last season. You may remember him. He did play in the Arkansas game. He's a forward. He's 6'7", 220. He's thick. He's good. Um, I think the thing that our roster needs right now is that like jumbo wing position, right? That guy that can play the four, that power forward position, can guard people who are a little bit faster, but is also really physical. Kind of like a Trey Wade type, maybe like a Stanley Amude type. Someone that kind of sits in between those two. Um, that was a role that we didn't have last year on our team, and it really hurt us, right? Guys like Harrison Ingram from North Carolina just picked us apart.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
guys, I mean that's the guy from Memphis. I can't remember his name, but they're
David Jones.
David Jones. Like that's kind of that, right? Like 6'7", 6'8", athletic, physical, big, decent shooter, but like that. So Adu Thiero uh could potentially be that. Some other really interesting options out there. I don't know if we have a shot at him, but Norshad Omir from Miami, he is that the picture of that player that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, when he goes and sets a screen, I mean, he sets a screen, but he's got the athleticism and the quickness to like roll off of that or get some alley oops or like maybe step out, do a little pick and pop for a shot. So it's a really valuable position to have, especially in college ball. We see these players often be the difference maker on a team. That jumbo wing power forward. So yeah, Thiero could potentially be that. I'd love to get Omir. He could be that. Um,
And here's the thing that's intriguing about Omir. He was at A State before he was at Miami, so he's familiar with Arkansas. He doesn't know NWA necessarily, but he knows the state, and I think he'd be willing to come. And a plus with him is the tournament experience. Miami also made a deep run last year, and he was a key component of that. So Cal with these 5 stars needs to match with veteran experience, and that's where Davis, Adu, and people like Omir come in, and that's the difference between these Kentucky teams he's had is you have those veteran presence where it's just freshmen going out there and have no idea what they're doing.
yeah,
So he would be a huge get.
he would be. Another interesting one that also is again kind of that same archetype, that same type of build. Elijah Saunders from San Diego State. Again, this dude's not gonna be the guy that is lighting up the box score. But again, think about Trey Wade a couple years ago. Think about you know um, Audie's Tony, right? Like this is someone like that. So Saunders has been contacted. He's 6'8", 225.
Whew,
Uh, yeah,
big, big.
he's he's a big guy. He's a power forward. I think listed as a shooting forward, but he's more of a power forward. Um, again, his scoring numbers aren't great, but his rebound numbers are solid. He's getting about 4 rebounds a game. Average like 6 rebounds a game or 6 points, 4 rebounds at San Diego State. Again, under Cal and on a team with um, more pieces around him. Again, he could be a great role player and fill that spot. Um, so yeah, he's another one of our targets. So hopefully we land one of those three, that we talked about, Fierro, Omir, which is probably not. I don't think he
Not
has a
gonna.
do not contact on him, so a lot of people don't really know like what exactly is going on with him. But uh, anyway, there's some rumors that our recruitment of him is potentially heating up, but a lot of people are saying St. John's for Omir. Anyway, when we got Saunders, a couple other pieces, you know, that I think our team could use. One is just your like set shooter.
Yes.
We wanted Kobe Brea. He went to Kentucky. That dude shoots 50 or like 49, fifty
An
percent
insane rate from three. It's
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 insane. They also got the kid from West Virginia, Kiersey or whatever.
Yeah,
Uh,
Chris, whatever. He was at Arizona previously, went to West
yeah,
Virginia, struggled. Now, yeah,
Chris Kiersey. Anyway, I feel like we could use a guy like that. Someone who's maybe the second or third guy off the bench, but gives your team a spark. What we kind of wanted JD Davenport or Yeah,
Jeremiah Davenport. Yeah.
Jeremiah Davenport to be for us this year, which he kind of was on occasion. What like Grady Dick was for Kansas a couple years ago. What you know, uh, Cormac Ryan was for UNC this year. You
Here's
know, just that guy that's like solid. You can trust him, but like he'll get one or two or three pointers right in a row, like on fast breaks and in, corner set situations, JJ Riddick, whatever, and it gives your team a spark when it needs it.
here's a hypothetical. If you remember Jackson Robinson from a couple of years ago, kind of that set shooter,
Yeah.
averaged I think 15 a game as the sixth man for BYU. Arguably their best player. If you saw in the tournament, they lost first round, but he went off, hit six threes, I believe. I don't think he's going to come here. I don't even think we're trying to target him. I think he's
Mm.
actually rumored to go to Kentucky, but I wish we would try and pursue him more because I think that would be crucial. I think it would be very pivotal for our team.
Yeah.
And we've seen guys come back
Yeah.
before.
Definitely has the 3-point shooting prowess.
Yes. And
Yeah.
I mean, we saw with Jimmy Witt, he left. He was here his freshman year, left, and came back. So it's not like just because he was here before and left, different coaches now, you never know. But just a
Yeah.
hypothetical to throw out there.
Yeah, no, that would be cool to get him or someone like him. Again, I think we have a lot of guys that will be playmakers, and so
Mhm.
Jackson Robinson is awesome. Jackson Robinson is trying to do a little bit more than just being a shooter. He's trying to be someone that can drive to the basket, create his own bucket and stuff like that, which again, like that could be valuable. But even if we got someone that like literally is just like, look, all I do is shoot, like I'm not trying to be anything more than that, could also work. I think another role that we would love to see is like a true experienced point guard. We're bringing in Boogie Fland, Billy Richmond, obviously John L. Davis. These are all guards that can handle the ball, but I think they do a little bit better off the ball, or at least like they're not necessarily facilitators, and I think right now what we have is guys that are great guards, but not necessarily true points, true facilitators. And it would be cool to have that, and I think that could help John L. Davis shine. That could help, Boogie Fland and some of these younger guys shine if there's someone that knows like I'm here to assist, I'm here to get the ball moving, I'm here to get the offense running so that you guys can go and find your bucket.
Yes, exactly. So you can't ever have enough of that,
Yeah.
honestly. Do you think is there any other areas? I know you said spot up shooter. What I heard the other day, Adu had over 100 offensive rebounds. That was an area of concern. So I don't know if any of these guys are lockdown defenders. I would like to go get like a straight up known for defense guy, 3-and-D type person. I know you talked about, but I would like to get one of those. And then
Yeah.
I think I mean, we got plenty of time, but those are some areas of concern that need to be addressed.
Yeah. No, that I agree. And saying that we need, I think as much as like Norshad Omier is awesome, he's more of an offensive threat. I mean, he has decent defense, but maybe that's where someone else maybe would be a better fit, and that's where you get that lockdown defender that can guard 2 through 5, or 2 through 4 at least. Um, yeah, maybe it's that type of role, that type of position. But yeah, I think you're right. Jonas Adu is more known for his defense protecting the rim. Um, so he'll be solid, but yeah, the rest of our players are more uh known for their offense that we brought in. We'll see about Elijah Saunders, that kid from San Diego State. I think he's a little bit more, committed and disciplined on the defensive end, from what I've observed. Again, I haven't done like a deep dive on all of these prospects.
Kind of have to be though if you're playing for San Diego State. They're a defensively built team, so I think Saunders would definitely be an intriguing defender. I think he'd probably be the best out of those targets we just talked about.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think that covers basketball, don't you think? Or is there anything else?
Yeah, I mean some of those true point guard targets, just in case people need names. Wooga Poplar from Miami. the kid from Utah, Dave Devon Smith. Um, he's a point guard, and there was one other one. Yeah. And then another guard that we're going after who's more of a shooting guard, and we're probably not going to get him, is Kadari Richmond. Um, and then another big forward is Trezarian White from UNC Wilmington.
I would love to get him because he destroyed us when we played against him.
Yes, you might remember.
Yes.
So yeah, we'll see. 6'7", 190. He's a little bit skinnier.
Mm.
A little bit thinner than like Elijah or Thiero, who are both 220 plus. But again, could be a great addition. We still have 7 spots to fill on our roster, so we need some of these role players.
For sure. So
Yeah.
we'll continue to see what happens. Moving on to baseball, we we're entering the last part. I think the SEC tournament's in a couple of weeks. We got some big series coming up. I'm looking at the standings right now. We're at top of the SEC West, 16-5, 39-7 overall. Outstanding record. A&M's a game behind us. Mississippi State's 4 games behind us. Those are kind of the only teams in the West we need to be worried about. And in the East, Kentucky's 16-5 and Tennessee's 15-6. So looks like it's going to come down to mainly us top four, A&M, us, Kentucky, and Tennessee. So we'll see. We got, I believe, let's see, Kentucky this weekend.
We got Kentucky and then Mississippi State, and then we finish on the road. Insanely hard schedule ahead of us. Kentucky at Kentucky. They're the number 8 team. They're tied for number 1 in the SEC. They're leading the West, or they're leading the East. They are our counterpart, in the East. I want the number 1 seed. I want it number 1 over that shared BS that we did with Florida last year. I didn't like it. I want it outright. We're only going to get it outright if we beat Kentucky and A&M and sweep Mississippi State. Because A&M, their schedule is pretty patty cake. They have Ole Miss and LSU. So they're probably going to sweep both of those series. And then they have us. So we have to maintain our, you know, uh, stats, our record. Otherwise, when we go up against A&M, we can't be trying to make up 2 games or 3 games. We have to be going in to that at least tied with them and then win that series. And then Kentucky does have a little bit of a tougher schedule. They have us, and then I believe they still have Vanderbilt on their schedule, which is a good team. And then
Always.
I think they have either Ole Miss or Mississippi State as well as their other matchup. So, we've got the number 8 team, Kentucky, and then Mississippi State, who's good, and then the number 1 team in the nation, A&M. The last couple weeks, man, really would have loved to get some sweeps. South Carolina and Florida. We had Florida at home, and in that final game, I mean, all weekend our bats were not great. Game 2, it was 1-1 forever, and then Florida had that crazy inning where they scored 4, and then I think it was the 6th or the 7th inning, and then we came in, I think that same inning or the bottom of the next inning, and got 4 or 5 points in 1 inning, took a 1-point, 2-point lead, and closed it out. But if it wasn't for that 1 inning, I mean, it's a 2-point, like.
And that's sort of been a trend is that our bats aren't very good this year. I'm going to be straightforward. They're not great. They're in the bottom half of the SEC. And that's what they do. They'll score 4 or 5 in an inning, and that'll last us because our pitching's so great.
Mhm.
So that's all we need. And what seems weird to me is it's like we wait for the other team to make a run, and then it's like, all right, it's time for us to wake up. Like we don't ever just naturally hit and get ahead of the other team. Like we don't ever get like a 4-0 lead, 7-0 lead, unless it's a midweek. But it's always, like you said, 1-1, 2-1, something like that. And then they score, take the lead, and then we get a 4-run inning out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And it's like, why can't we just get the bats going from the start?
Yeah.
That's if we don't make it this year, if we don't win it all, I think that's going to be our issue is our bats. It's
Oh,
always something.
absolutely. Yeah, we have the best pitching in the nation, the best pitcher in the nation. I mean, our defense is phenomenal. We're keeping teams down. Um, man, except for that one guy on Florida, what's his name? Gusto
Caglione.
Caglione.
Yeah.
That guy could freaking rip, dude.
Yeah, he's good. And he pitches, it's insane.
Thing where it's insane. He's like the next Shohei Ohtani.
Really is.
Um, that inning killed us, man. Seven runs in 6 or 7 runs in one inning, and we just could not get back. We didn't have Molina in that game, who's normally our third game starter in a 3 game series, so that hurt. And we had used a lot of pitchers to end out the second game too. I mean, in the final 2 innings, I think we saw 4 or 5 different pitchers. There was a couple pitchers that we just brought in for one batter. So we're definitely working our way through our rotation. But anyway, luckily A&M dropped a game. Kentucky dropped 2 actually. They only got 1 in their series against South Carolina, so that helps us. So we want A&M, we want Kentucky to keep losing, which will be up to us this week, and we can claim that #1 seed, which will be nice, and just outright win the SEC regular season. I mean, that's great. That's big. That's when we're in a conference that has 5 teams in the top 10 in the nation, to be the SEC champs is big time.
Here's a choice for you. I'm going to give you a hypothetical. Say we win the SEC, win it outright, get the #1 overall seed. Would you rather have that happen? Because there's a known like there hasn't been a champion who's been the #1 overall seed for like 22 years or something like that. It's been a long time since the #1 overall seeds won it all. Or would you rather say we go win the West, but we don't win it overall because Kentucky gets 2 out of 3 of us from this weekend, or something else happens, we don't sweep like we need to next weekend, or A&M we don't win that series, and Kentucky gets the outright, but we get the West. Would you rather that happen, or what I said the first option? What would you rather have happen?
Man,
Because I don't know if I want to be the
mean,
#1 overall seed because everybody knows how that goes.
if you're telling me that I could look into the future
Hmm.
and either be the SEC championship and lose in Omaha, or
Yeah.
not be the SEC champ and win the national, obviously I'm going to win the national championship.
Okay. Okay.
But if you're saying like unknown, would I rather enter into the College World Series, the college playoffs, uh, having won the SEC outright, which would make us the #1 seed,
Oh yeah.
or not? I want it. Give me championships. Give me wins. I've never been a superstition guy. I've never been a like, oh, let's try to like throw this game so
Yeah.
that now if it's strategic,
Yeah.
like if like, oh, if you're the 1 seed, you're going to match up against this like crazy underrated 16 seed. Or if you're #2, you'll get this like patty cake 16 team. In that case, maybe it's if it's strategy, but we have no idea who our matchups are going to be. So I'm like, give me championships. I'll take championships. And the reason for this team as well in particular, that wouldn't be as worried about it is getting to that #1 seed means that we're going through a top 5 Kentucky team,
Yeah.
and it means we're going through the #1 Texas
Yeah.
A&M team.
Yeah.
So it's not like we're coasting in to the playoffs. We're coasting into the World Series with some easy schedule that didn't test us, and now we're not ready for tournament play. I mean, if you're beating Kentucky and A&M in a span of 3 weeks to get to that spot, that is going to battle test you. And I would rather come in with the confidence of like, we just beat A&M and we just beat Kentucky. We're focused, we're dialed, we're ready to go. We're not coming in saying, oh, we just beat, whatever, some lame scrub school to keep us in that winning position.
Missouri. Yes.
Missouri, Mizzou.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I get what you're saying. I see your point. I just see a lot of that. spreading around like, oh, you don't want the number one overall seed. No one's won it forever. I just want to see what your take is. I'm with you. I would like to win the
Wasn't Ole
SEC.
Miss the number one seed like 2 years ago when they won?
Did they? I didn't know if they were the number one overall.
That might have been us that
I thought
year.
it was us because we
Yeah,
were,
that might have been
remember,
us that was the number one overall that year.
we were cops here. We were the number one overall seed and we lost in supers. And then the next year, I can't remember who. Oh, Tennessee went off that next year. And that might have been the year Ole Miss won. It was Tennessee. And they had all Drew Gilbert, all those insane players. And they ended up losing in supers. So it's like half the time, like the number one overall seed barely making it to the College World Series.
Yeah.
That's what
And
concerns me.
Wake Forest was the number one last year, right? When
Yes. And they made it, but they didn't win it all. They lost to LSU, I believe.
yeah,
I think they made it Final Four, which they're loaded again this year. So see how that
yeah.
goes.
They've I mean they've struggled. They came
They
out
have,
hot. I mean they're I think they're still top 25, but they've definitely had their struggles.
they
And the
have.
ACC is good. I mean Clemson, Duke, Florida State,
North
all
Carolina is always solid. I mean,
yeah.
it's a tough conference. And the thing that worries me before we finish up is that we talked about already. The pitching is so good, is that I'm afraid there's going to be a downfall or like a slight drop off per se, and not like a drop off like we're giving up 6 runs and we got, but like our pitchers give up 1 to 2 runs a game, three at most. Say they have a game where they give up 4 or 5. Can our offense cover that? That's what worries me. Is that every year it seems like other good teams are going to hit well sometimes. If
Mhm.
Hagen's not on the mound, I don't know. So can our guys hit well enough to cover for that? The year we made it that one year, pop fly year, don't want to talk about it. We hit well and we
Mhm.
could pitch. We had Blaine Knight. We had the pitchers and we could hit. This year,
Yeah.
it just seems like we got the pitching, but the hitting's not there quite yet.
Yeah.
But we got the guys to do it. We're just not there quite yet.
It's true. Our hitting, I'd say, well, I probably should have the stats in front of me. You can actually prove this statistically, but I feel like our bats are better than last year. Um, so I think we're looking better. And yeah, like you said, when the pressure's on, our bats step up, and we just need to figure out a way to like have that sense of urgency and just swing a little bit more
Yes.
um, earlier on in the game, and just be a little more aggressive. That's one thing about Kentucky. Last week they stole home, and then
That's
on the very next play they stole third or second or third. I can't remember, but like back to back plays, they're just like, and they steal bases a lot. They're aggressive. Even if they don't have like the best batting, they make the most of their base
they play small ball.
runners.
They
Yeah,
get a runner on, they move them over, bunts, all that good stuff. They're gonna play the small ball way, and it works.
yeah,
And that's not our style, and rightfully so. I mean, David Horn's a genius. So if he doesn't want to play small
yes,
ball, then we're not gonna play small ball. So we just got to figure out what works for us. I think we're getting there. Like you said, we are better hitting. To me, I agree with you this year than last. But we saw what happened last year when a team like TCU was hitting well, got hot at the right time, and we just
yeah,
didn't have the bats to match. Our pitching was still solid, but
yeah.
it wasn't quite enough. So that's what worries me again this year. Baseball team. Before we wrap up, we got a couple more minutes. Softballs looked solid. They got a couple upset wins last weekend, I believe.
Hmm.
They've been doing well. Gymnastics made, I believe, not the Final Four, but they made it pretty far.
Yeah.
So they're doing well, or they did well this season. Congrats to them. And let's see, I'm
We
trying to
had a
think.
few record setters. Um, Let me see if I can find it real quick, just so we give
Well, you find that
credit.
football had the spring game. Taylon Green looks outstanding. Tough to tell against second team defense, but
Yeah,
it's trending upwards, I think. Got the NIL John Tyson money, and people are willing to give NIL to football as well. So hopefully football's getting there. And we'll have more of that as baseball ends because football will be kind of the only thing sort of going on.
Yeah.
But
Did you hear about Miami's football NIL?
no, what happened?
They're looking like they're gonna have like there's rumors that they're gonna be spending 20 million in NIL for their football team this year.
Because they've been so bad lately. They're gotta shell out the cash.
For real. I wonder how much of that is coming from Dwayne the Rock Johnson.
I don't. There's no. They have so many alumni that is. I mean, the U was so good for all those NFL guys. Can just all right. Who do you? What do you want? We'll give you the cash. But yeah, I bet the Rock's given a good amount. And then let's see. I think of our other sport. I think that's it. Track and field, I think, is did their season finish up?
Who?
Track and field, are they still going?
So I think they're honestly, I don't know. I can't keep
I'll
I
say I
can't keep
can't keep
it
up.
up.
I'm trying to
But
think
there
of
was
all
a
the.
I think they're in maybe they're in one of our girls like broke into the high jump
Yeah,
uh like 6 feet 4 inches. Was that it? Something like that.
something like that.
Crazy. And then the 400-meter run as well got under 60 seconds.
I mean, we dominate always, so that's nothing to worry about. I think that's all the huge news regarding the other sports. Before we get off, what were your final thoughts coming away from the spring game, real quick, football wise?
I mean, yay. I feel excited about our skill positions.
Mhm.
Um, I think, and again, like spring game's always hard because it's like you're playing against your own team. You're playing
Second
not
string.
second string. You're not really playing full speed necessarily. So it's like I don't, and whenever the offense scores, it's like, does that mean we have a bad defense or a really good offense or like,
Uh,
so I don't have a lot to say, but I do feel excited about our skill positions. I'm still a little bit skeptical about our O line. Obviously, just because in that game, protect the quarterback. I'm not exactly sure. I think it's an upgrade. I mean, it has to be an upgrade from last year. So hopefully
I
Green's
would think
not
so. I would think so.
running around as much as KJ had to. Um, but it at least it seems like they're picking up Petrino's offense. They're like,
Yeah.
getting some good plays down and yeah.
I liked what I saw from the skill positions. Jackson from Utah looks really good. Braylon Russell looks solid. We had Augusta transfer out. We picked up Rodney Hill from Florida State. See how that works out. Tight end is a big thing in Petrino's offense. Everyone looked good. Luke Haas looks back to normal.
Mhm.
And Gums played more than I thought, and he looks solid. So I think we're all good to go. Like you said, it's tough to tell, but the positive is at least we didn't look terrible. If you're looking bad in the spring game,
Yeah.
it's bad. So at least we looked really good. At least the hype Taylor Green train is going, and I'm looking forward to it and look forward to baseball finishing up
Yeah. Let's
and
go
see
Hogs.
what happened with basketball. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah. See ya.